class, yes, you don't get to see me just because so much of the slide is so critical that you need to be able to see it. Anyway, some of you have asked, how do I do well on some of these quizzes that they seem kind of, let's just say eclectic in a way. What it comes down to is a lot of people finish early on my quizzes, and that's because they just rush through it. You only have 4 choices, and what ends up happening is if they had taken their time, they probably would have done better. You have 3 minutes a question. That's a lot of time. But what these quizzes ask you to do is actually to be thoughtful, to think it through. People who rush tend not to do as well. First of all, read the question carefully. The big thing is to find the keywords. What is the main issues that this question is asking? And this is actually very similar to what you do when you go out into industry. A lot of people waste a lot of time on things which are irrelevant and aren't actually the issue that you need to solve. And so the big thing is to figure out what those issues are. Once you figure out the main topic, then essentially you know which set of slides that you have to focus on. Now you would say, well, gee, Dr. Cho, there's like 200 slides. The thing is, that's partitioned into 4 sets, and a lot depends on how fanatical you want to be. Paper, to me, is a lot quicker to go through. A lot of these answers are right off of the slides. And you can print out 6 slides on a page and still be able to see it very easily. So what it comes down to is how intense you want to be about this. The thing is, when you take an exam, especially a multiple choice exam, you have to play the exam. So the thing is, if you can eliminate 1 question, your odds improve drastically. And if you can eliminate 2 answers, even better. Anyway, the thing is that you have to, if you get stuck or can't make up your mind, or you're sitting there like flipping coins, reread the question, look at the answers. Basically, there's a keyword in there that tips your answer one way or another. Okay. The other thing is, do you really understand what the material says? What people have a tendency to do is, like if I say, okay, what is lock-in? And they'll say, oh, that's easy. That's how you keep your customers in. But what does that mean exactly? That's what these questions also challenge you on. So one question I get is because the thing is, you have it actually pretty easy. My typical exams are 25 questions, and actually for the people in my first semester, they had to read through 5 answers, not 4. So your odds are actually dramatically better. There's a lot more time when you have to take a 5th option. But some people have, because the averages are low, meaning I've had one quiz where the average has been low as 48, and they said, are these just so hard that people are just guessing and that's the average, or is there a causality to it that people are actually getting questions right because they know what the answer is? And the thing is, remember, this is what F-stats are for. F-stats tell you, are things happening just by coincidence, or does the data actually mean something? And so basically I've done F-stats on my quizzes, and they indicate that it's not random. The other thing is, I actually have looked at individual questions, and it's kind of interesting. Even though the average might be 48, and this is 48%, and this was out of 25 questions. The thing that was really interesting, actually was, out of 25 questions. The thing is, 80% of the questions had an average of greater than 60%. So what that really means is that if everybody's getting like 60, some questions were as high as 80% of the class getting the question right. So how do you account for a low class average? Well, the thing is, people weren't consistently getting questions correct, meaning a certain amount of people will get one question correct but then get the other one wrong. And so on every question, there was no rhyme or reason to it from person to person. Some people, it's kind of funny, some people got the easy questions wrong and the hard questions right. And that's why the average came out so low. The thing is, I curve it. Now, some people complain that hard quizzes aren't fair, that people should be able to get 95%. And again, my view of that is, if you make an exam that easy, that's high school. This is college. College, you're supposed to get hard questions. In reality, introducing new products, your odds of being successful are somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20%. No, that's awful. That's what that's what really goes on. It's not supposed to be easy, and so therefore, I'm getting you used to having to do questions that are challenging. Not only that, but guess what? You find out who really knows what's going on and who really doesn't. So let's go through the quiz. Okay, question 1. Willing and able are two Berkeley students who want to be entrepreneurs, and they love renewable energy. They have built a portable power generator that runs on hemp. They don't know anything about the energy market. In terms of doing market research, what would be the best approach? Now, the first thing you have to do is figure out, okay, what is the key topic in this question? And the key topic in this question is market research. And subsequently, the next key thing to think about in this question is they don't know anything. And so, what's their best approach to this? And so you would read through all the answers just to get a feel for what the question's asking for. And so it's about market research. And so therefore I go back to the question and see the key thing I need to know is they don't know anything about the energy market. And so actually, if you go to Lecture 2.4 and look at slide 11, it tells you the different approaches to do market research. So right away, what can I do? Well, I can throw out answer C, because if they don't know anything about the market and their product is totally brand new, then the thing is, we know the BAS model won't work. So now, in looking at the answers, they have online surveys, find an expert, or have a focus group. And the thing is, in the mixed approaches, and this is actually on the videos, the first thing I said that you should go out and do is talk to somebody. And so therefore, an online survey is a bad answer. So now I got it 50-50. And the thing is, focus groups are good when you need a lot of varied opinions. But these people don't know anything about it, so they're better off just starting out with an expert. So the answer is B. Okay, question 2. Which is an example of positioning for a cell phone? So, this is a question about positioning. The thing is, a lot of people, and it drives me nuts, do not understand what is meant by positioning. Positioning does not mean a physical location. From Lecture 2.3, if you look at slides 32 and 47, it talks about positioning. And the aspect of positioning, and this is off of slide 47, is, if you recall, and were a couple of diagrams in that lecture, that essentially you can see where you are, and this is actually out of your book. Yes, you've gotten a book question. The way you can think of positioning is based on certain values, or based on where certain competitors are. How do you move about the space? And what it really means is that in the mindset of a customer, when they think about a product, what product where do they think of you in regards to this space? And comparing to everyone else, what is it? So right away, we know that you're not a physical position. That's wrong. Another thing is when we read through the questions, taking the high ground. What does that mean? What's the high ground? So we know C is wrong. So now we're down to B and D. One has to do about collaboration and one is a comparison chart. The thing is, collaboration, yes, it can impact the way you're perceived, but it doesn't necessarily say what it is that you actually do. So instead of being on a graph, a comparison chart is a table. So the answer is B. That's what positioning is. Question 3 should have been pretty straightforward. In Lecture 2.2, slide 37, what does it show? Your target market, your served available market, your adjustable market, and the total market. So it's pretty straightforward from that. What we know is the target market is the smallest. That's our focal point. Our SAM is essentially if we go outside in, our adjustable market is the general market we think we can be in. Our served available market is those we think we can reach. And out of those we can reach, our target market, those are the people who are actually going to go out and buy something. Some of you might have thought beachhead, but the thing is, if you notice, it's TAM and then target market, so the order is wrong. So the second answer is clearly correct. Question 4, competition is taken from the viewpoint of. This was also in the videos. However, you could also find it on Lecture 2.1 and 22 and 27. However, it says competitors or enterprises are vying with you over the same customer values. So, you versus a competitor. The thing is, it's customer values. So if you work through it backwards, what it's really saying is that the customer dictates who they think their options are. So therefore, the answer is D. Competition is taken from the viewpoint of the customer. A lot of people think competition is from your viewpoint. The thing is, just because you think someone's competition, in the eyes of the customer, it may not be. Question 5, design of experiments is used too. Pretty straightforward from Lecture 2.4, slide 19. If you look at number 1, what variables are important? So basically it's figure out what factors are significant. I just changed the wording a little bit. So the answer is A. Cosmonaut is I just crack myself up sometimes. Cosmonaut is a Russian space firm that wishes to compete against SpaceX and all the other space agencies across the world for controlling the race to provide transport and satellite delivery services into space. They are proud of the Russian space heritage and think it will be a key selling point. They are setting up offices, well, it should say offices, setting up office internationally. Which of the following has the least effect in considering who the competition is? Now, this is evidently a competition question. So from the viewpoint of the customer, which of these is considered to be who competition is? And the thing is, the question asks least effect. That's the thing. Be careful when you read the question. So what's going to have the least effect? Well, evidently, Tower of London, a global company, they could put up cell towers. Essentially, cell towers is a substitute for what the competition is. And so that's another viable option. The thing is, from the viewpoint of the customer, the people who are putting up these systems, their options are they could put satellites in space or set up cell towers. So D is actually a very viable competition for satellites. That's actually what killed Motorola and Iridium. They bet on satellites, and what they severely underestimated is how easy it was to put up cell towers and how quickly they could do it. But anyway, so Tower of London is obviously competition, and they're out. So now I have 3 other options. The thing is, it already says they're setting up offices, are setting up office internationally. So if they're setting up office internationally and all these other companies are in different parts of the world, Um, then China is technically a competitor. Virgin Atlantic is technically also another competitor. Both of them are direct competitors, and therefore the location of the competitors is the weakest out of the three. Again, you're looking for the best answer. Reba Dirty is fed up with the negativity of the internet and wants out. She has created the antisocial network. Dr. Cho still wants to do this. It finds a person on the internet and erases all mention of you. You are now digitally invisible. In evaluating the landscape for her product, which of the following is a potential problem she has to consider? So, the key to this question is landscape. So what we're really talking about are the 5 C's, or the competitive landscape. So when I think about the 5 C's, this is all what these answers are. They're one of the C's. Now all you need to do is figure out which of these is the most meaningful out of these 5 C's. Well, C is blatantly wrong for the simple reason it's like competition. People don't like being invisible. Well, that's the equivalent of saying that people don't like my product. Of course somebody not liking your product is competition. But it's nebulous. It's just like saying you're selling a candy bar and somebody asks you, what's your competition? Well, my competition is people who aren't going to eat candy bars. Well, that's kind of obvious. You're not competing there. You're competing for people who are going to eat candy bars. So C is out. So let's go on to the other question, the other answers. Companies, some software coders are not interested in doing this. Well, then even by the definition, if some aren't interested, some will be interested. So how does that hurt you as a company? That's a very weak answer. So now I'm down to A and B, collaborators. Her competition will team up and stop her. Well, that's pretty much a given. So the thing is, B is the better answer, context. And that's that when you're introducing a new product, you have to take into consideration that there could be legal and regulatory ramifications in what you do. I mean, for those of you who remember Napster, they severely underestimated the copyright laws, and subsequently they got burned pretty badly. Bovine